Hello, everyone. Welcome to the latest installment of our federal election podcasts. I have with me today Jennifer Korstanje, the newly installed and acclaimed Liberal candidate for Niagara West. So we'll be doing the same format for any candidates I can get in touch with. So they'll have basically a 2-minute intro to talk to you folks at home, and then we're going to talk for about 20 minutes and then a 2-minute wrap up. Generally quite informal, just covering issues that everybody is concerned about at their own kitchen tables. So Jen, I'll just pass things over to you, and away you go.
Hi there. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me. I'm very privileged to be on your podcast. I'm glad that you took the time to reach out right away. I think that's fantastic. And I'm, like I said, I'm very privileged to be here. So thank you for that. So a little bit about me. So my name is Jennifer Korstanje, born and raised in Grimsby. I was born at West Lincoln Memorial Hospital in April of 1976. I'm the middle child of a family of 5. My mother was a recreation therapist and my father's an electrician. I grew up on Lakeview Avenue and attended Lakeview Public School. I also attended Grimsby Secondary School, so I am definitely long-time local. Some of the jobs I've had in the community: when I was attending high school, I worked housekeeping in Killian Lodge in the long-term care. I've worked at West Lincoln Memorial Hospital for 15 years as a dietary aide, which also served Deer Park Villa. And my latest job was 15 years managing an athletic specialty retail store up in Stony Creek Mountain. I then resigned as manager up there, and I just went back to school at Niagara College in Welland for the recreation therapy program. So I've started that, and I'm really enjoying that. I have a husband of 27 years. I have 2 children, both adult children living at home. One is 26, one is 22. Heavily involved in volunteering with our West Niagara Special Olympics. And I've spent my life living in the riding of Niagara West. It's my home. It will always be my home. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to run as the Liberal candidate for Niagara West. And I have a personal connection, and I want what's best for the riding.
Great. So maybe just to continue on a little bit, how did it come about that you became the candidate in the first place?
I mean, obviously, everybody's been following the politics.
And you didn't mention being on Grimsby Council, so...
Yes, sorry, I am. Yes.
Well.
So I started following politics years ago and got involved in our local municipal politics and ran for council, and I have been on Grimsby Town Council for 2 years now.
Well, what motivated you to run for council even? Because that's really the start of your...
Yeah, so following along with the local issues and wanting to bring voices to the table that... have never been at the table. And let's be honest, if you read your paper, you can follow along with the local issues.
There's a few.
Yes. So that's what I was doing. And, once you start following along and, if you like what's going on and you don't like what's going on, I didn't particularly like some of the stuff at the time. And, just started speaking up and talking to people, and then... I decided I would run, and I ran, and I gotta say, it was one of the best things I ever did, because I really enjoy being on council and part of the committees.
Well, lots of people complain about what goes on, but very few people do something about it.
Yes.
So that's an interesting twist.
Yeah, I'm a productive person. I feel like, put your money where your mouth is. I like to create change. So if I feel like there's something going on that I'm not happy with, I like to be a part of that change, like a problem solver.
So now evolve that to the last 10 days, say.
Yes, so here we are. So, there are things on a national level that, are scary. When we talk about the economy, we talk about jobs, we talk about, our economic relationships with other countries. And I feel if I can make a difference, I want to make that difference.
So let's jump into that. And, we can talk tariffs all we want, but there's no specific target, changing landscape, et cetera, but from where you are sitting today, what's your feeling about that situation and what your party is saying it's going to do about it?
So with the tariffs, so there's already been some progress. Mark Carney has diversified our international relationships with the economy and over in Europe and stuff like that. So strengthening the economy. And then, some of with the money with the tariffs, he's investing into the economy. So I think what's important is, building Canadian economy so that we have jobs. And already between the provinces, the trade and making that easier. And so any step we can take that's going to make life better and strengthen Canada.
Well, certainly the interprovincial is one thing. When you mention strengthening the economy in general, what are you seeing or what are you hearing that you think is a proper step, or what's your own feeling about the direction that could take? How would it look? What would it look like?
I think all of us want job security. I think we need confidence in leadership for us on, the very basic level. If we have confidence in leadership, that our leader is capable, educated, and experienced in building that economy, we're going to have that faith. It's easy to say, to promise. It's easy for people to promise things, but if you don't have the background or the education on knowing what to do, we're not going to have that faith.
Now, you mentioned leaders. What is it that you like about your leader as opposed to the other options in the race?
I like that Mr. Carney has experience. He led us through the Great Recession. He was involved in dealing with Brexit. He has been an advisor for a very long time. He's very educated. He has leadership qualities. He has experience.
And the other side of the ballot?
I don't feel like the other side.
For all parties.
Yes. I don't feel. I mean, it's hard to compare to Mr. Carney's experience and education. Obviously, I think that sometimes when we don't have the experience, it's hard to have faith in the decisions that will be made. I don't like
because of experience. You think?
Yes,
that's a key factor for you. Okay.
And education.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you'd already been knocking on some doors.
Yes.
What do you hear?
So things that we're hearing, if we're talking local issues, we have a lot of people that are undecided, obviously, but local issues, cannabis plants. I mean, that is a Grimsby-Lincoln issue. That is a Font Hill issue. St. Catharines.
Anybody within smell.
Yes, the odor, yes.
Yes.
And I mean, it's been, from what I'm hearing, it's been an ongoing issue for residents. And so it's not a new issue. I think what they're looking for is action on that issue.
Action in terms of what? Like what do they want? What do residents want to have happen?
They want accountability, regulation. They
like
want
in
to
terms
enjoy
of growing locations, or just the yes.
Odor is the biggest issue, and so they're worried about their property values. They're worried about their quality of life.
I know some people around the lighting issues. Like you can often see if there's any low sky, the town looks purple.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
That is yes. I've heard that from lots of Grimsby residents as a local councillor.
You see it from anywhere in town some nights.
Yes. Some of the other issues in the new area of St. Catharines that we have is St. Catharines is worried about being left behind, not being valued in the riding. And some people didn't even know that they were part of Niagara West now. And then just being concerned about some of the, the reputation of Niagara West and some of the issues that way. So
okay, so that's a local issue. What do people at the door talk about the world scale or national scale issues?
On the national scale, people are worried about being a country still. They're worried about Trump's tariffs. They're worried about the threats to be the first.
It is interesting to go beyond tariffs.
Yes, exactly, and people are worried about that. On a positive, people are excited. They're motivated. They're ready to unite. They're proud to be Canadian. So, I mean, as much as there are a lot of negative stuff, the positive is that there is a momentum that I have never seen before in politics, even
when you
just
see
door to
the
door.
bloc talking in favor of Canada.
Yes, yes.
But,
And
wow.
so, I mean, that's wonderful. And I love going door to door because I love hearing that, we need to protect Canada. We need to unite Canada. And that's sort of, the positives that's coming out of it. And I think that we can really do that with the right leadership and the right people at the table for everybody. So everybody has a voice. I mean, we are going to be a really strong, united country.
Yep. So we've talked about issues at the door and the obvious national scale issues. What are issues for you as a person before you worry about being a candidate?
So one of my priority issues is accessibility. I know that's not new for anybody who knows me.
Or watch council.
Yes, or watch council. It is extremely important. So one of the benefits of my schooling is that I am aware that 3/4 of our population are going to be senior in the not so far future. So we have to prepare healthcare. We have to prepare accessibility. We have to protect the CPP, stuff like that. So, accessibility, seniors, jobs, how jobs change. I think one of the things we find is that as the economy changes, as technology advances, as retail advances, people are going to have to change their jobs. And so it's, providing access to training, access to new jobs, things like that.
With the economy and jobs, like the one thing we've been hearing over and over, certainly in the last week from all leaders, is jobs, in particular manufacturing jobs. What's your feeling on how the government could move forward in nurturing, developing autonomy for Canada in the manufacturing sector? And I'll say bringing jobs back, but I don't want to go down the Trump rabbit hole of bringing the auto industry back to the U.S. Any industry, jobs are jobs, but manufacturing jobs in particular is something that's jumped out as a key factor there. Yeah. Just what do you think about how that could work for Canada?
So it's something we definitely need to do. We don't produce a lot of stuff in our country, and for our economy, we should. There's a driving demand now for Canadian products and stuff like that. I think, going back to my last point, if we can make it possible for people to work in those industries and create that workforce, we're going to have that willingness there. We have to be careful of with the way that the population is projected. I was at the mayor's breakfast, not this year, but the last year, and there was a fantastic speaker, Brock Dickinson, I believe. He was a professor from Waterloo, and he was talking about the decline in population and the decline in workforce that we're going to be experiencing, and as well with other countries. And this is going to come into play because other countries are not going to have the population in their manufacturing and their exporting to be able to do that. So I think right now, the more we invest in having that self-sufficiency, it's going to help us now, but it's also going to help us in the future. We need to be prepared.
Earlier you mentioned the reasons for why you got involved in, or ran for Grimsby Council and got involved at the municipal level. How would you describe the reality of what maybe the perception or what you thought it might be? Like, how has it gone? How do you like it?
I love it. And most people don't say that. So I really enjoy politics. So I enjoy learning and researching on the topics that we're deciding on. I enjoy community engagement. I always try to reach out to residents that those topics affect to get their opinions. I am the voice of my ward, and I mean everybody in Grimsby.
30 Viking.
Yes. So I'm a very strong advocate, and so again, people can come to me and I'm going to advocate for what their needs are and what they feel their needs are. So I enjoy it. And part of being on council is being on committees, and I'm on 5 committees, which I absolutely love. And they range. And some of them I thought, I don't know much about this. And, you feel a little bit insecure, but you learn and I really value the voice of the residents that are on those committees and the expertise that they bring. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
That is rare.
I'm a people person though, right? So, and I try not to get into the weeds of stuff. So,
Keep trying. Yeah. Excuse me. So how would you say that 2 years of experience has helped you for this kind of thing? Like, did you ever think you'd be doing what,
no.
what
Okay.
we're talking about right now?
I did not think that I would be running federally. Now, I will say I am very honored to do that. And the reason I'm very honored to do it is my grandparents were liberated in Holland by the Canadians during World War II. And they immigrated over here in the 50s with my father and his brother. And my grandfather actually worked on Nixon farms. And here I am now with the opportunity to run federally, and protect Canada at the highest level. And that's an honor to me. And that is something I absolutely want to do and value.
But how would your experience on council prepare you for that?
So
What's it done for you today?
Yes, my experience on council has taught me to listen and to learn, to do research, and to advocate in a calculated way, not just like I don't have to talk all the time. And I don't have to, I focus on the task at hand. And I don't speak if I don't need to speak.
So back to issues of the day, if you will.
Yeah.
On a national scale, there's a lot of pocketed issues across the country. The terms escaping me right now, but you know what I mean. And being MP at a national level, of course, you're trying to harness all those things and get everybody marching in the same direction. How do you feel your party is situated to do that, given some of the divisions that we've seen in, say, the last couple of years, for example?
So we have seen divisions in the last couple of years, absolutely. And there is still a narrative of division out there. But I think what we're finding is we're also seeing unity. We are seeing a lot of NDP and a lot of Green Party supporting Liberal. And I think that unity is going to help across the country.
Now, why do you think they're doing that? Why do you think the support, I'll say general supporters of those parties are gravitating at all?
I think, NDP, for example, a very valued third party in our democracy, and the Green Party, the morals and the values line up. And we all have that big picture result in mind. And that is, this is the most important time in our country, maybe in our history. And we have the same morals and goals. And we want to save our country. And we are willing to do that together. And I think that speaks volumes.
So what would you say to anyone who happens to see this, who you want to make that potential switch or change?
So I have a lot of friends and colleagues within the different parties. And I tell them that my morals line up with your morals in most parties. So a lot of my friends are NDP supporters, and my morals and values are the same as their morals and values. And I'm a safe space for them, and I will advocate for the same beliefs that they have. And I think that right now, that unity to save our country and to save our existence is the big picture here. I think it crosses party lines.
So, in my estimation, a lot of people in the U.S. traded morals to back Trump because they wanted whatever it is they want. I've got to admit, I don't understand. And I don't understand his direction, which isn't our discussion. But Canadians will also do whatever it takes to make the country survive and thrive. So if you're given a decision on a policy or a direction that the party chooses that maybe you as an individual aren't quite happy with, which sometimes happens at federal and provincial levels.
Yep.
How are you going to deal with that?
So,
because I know from council you're a person of conviction, which is good.
Yeah.
But you don't always get to
Yes, you don't, and you know what?
It's a reality.
Yes, you don't always get your way. So what I typically do is I do my research, and I present my arguments on my research, and decisions are made of a collective vote, and I vote in. I have a very strong moral compass, and I vote with that moral compass. Yes, but I am able to see other people's perspectives, so I am always open to listening and to learning, and show me why you believe that way. And yes, you there's a possibility to change my mind. Absolutely.
Okay. On the local level, you touched, like, from the door knocking. I don't know if we went another direction on purpose or what, but was there any other issues brought up to you at the door aside from the cannabis issue? Because I didn't want to ignore the local
At the local
content
level,
of that.
yeah. We're just getting started.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah,
too.
so we're hearing some of them, and then obviously I know quite a few from, being on council. Affordability, housing, affordability, having so the aging population, and having housing for the aging population, the accessibility. I would say we have a lot. I have 2 adult children that live in my home that can't afford to move out, so that's an issue. Homelessness is an issue. And having affordable housing. So it's getting those policies in place. It's helping, and bringing that to the table. And I think one of the biggest things for Niagara West in general is having a voice at the table, having those issues come to light.
Can you expand on what that means, or what you perceive that to mean?
And not to go back.
I'm only trying to understand
Yeah.
what you mean in terms of the difference of, no matter who the MP is,
Yeah.
they're in the loop, if you will. So
So I would like to see.
how do you do it different, or what do you think would be different?
So what I would do is, there needs to be some of these issues cross municipal, provincial, and federal government for Niagara West. Let's take the cannabis plants, for example. It affects us at the municipal level, provincial, federal. So let's work together, and let's, propose regulations, and bring forward, a bill, and those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to, and again, back to the unity, we need to work collectively, right? For the what's in the best interest of Niagara West. It's building those relationships on every level, no matter what party is in power.
Understood.
Some of the residents, the cannabis issue, it goes back years. 2018, I think it started.
It was like flipping a switch as soon as it was approved.
Yeah. And so, it's figuring out why it hasn't been solved, and then creating a new path. But I think it has to be done as a collective level of government, and work together.
Is there anything that you wanted to mention policy-wise, or anything of that nature, that we haven't touched on before we get to the wrap-up part?
I'm going to say just one of the little things I wanted to sort of talk about. We talked a little bit about the housing affordability. And one of the things that I am seeing positive in our community anyway is with some of the policies that the Liberals put in place for the developers to be able to develop purpose-built rental with an affordability component. We are seeing that. And we're looking at 30 plus affordable units coming to our community that will help and serve our community at affordable housing, because there's more than a 10-year wait list right now and that's outdated data for our community right now to get into affordable housing. So, there's policies in place. We don't always see how it's because they take a while, but I think that's one of the things I wanted to just say, that, they're working and they're coming.
No, is that right? I don't want to go too far down that.
Yeah,
but is that like rent control housing? Like, because the number one thing people say was, well, what's affordable?
Yes. So,
try to be brief, because we're starting to run
so the government has their own affordable bar, and it has to be set at that bar in order to be considered affordable.
Okay, so there's
now I will say this: there are some developers that are actually partnering with the Grimsby Benevolent Fund, and because they will have a different measure of affordability. So I think we're going to see different levels of affordability, because yes,
Sure.
one person says it's affordable is not for another person, and that really depends on. So I'm proud to tell you that we're going to have a variety of definitions of affordability that will hopefully come to light in Grimsby.
Great. So we've had a great chat, covered every base. I hope you've got in everything that you wanted to discuss, but I'll just give you your summation and away we go.
Okay, excellent. So I just like to thank you again for having me, and I would like to appeal to the residents to give me your vote on election day on the 28th, and I will stand up for your voice, bring it to the table, and do everything I can for you. All of our Green Party, NDP supporters, I'm going to appeal to you to throw your vote to Liberal Party. I will work hard for you. And as a long-time resident, I'm proud to live in Niagara West, and I'm proud to represent Niagara West, and I'm proud to have the opportunity and just to sit here and to be an example and to say some positive things about politics and hopefully encourage more young women and young men and people to get involved.
Pay attention.
Take the chance. Yes, pay attention. That's super important. But
great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your time today. Greatly appreciate it. And as noted, get out and vote on April 28th. Thanks, everybody.